Greetings, divine masters of the light. Yeah, welcome on this fine and beautiful day. So here we are today by River's Edge, by Big Cedar Tree in Bella Coola, BC. So I have a great video for you today. So today's video is, what is your ego's better than? What is your ego's less than? What does your better than feel about your less than? All of that to identify and release the negative ego, your ego. In releasing the negative ego, it's helpful to list all your better than and your less than, and then pick the ones you want to work with. Then overlay those better than and less than with the reality you created yourself. So how do you do that? Well, first of all, by owning your own ego. The first step of this release of the negative ego is to own it. And by that we mean is to identify it. What does your ego say specifically? What personality does your negative ego have specifically? What is your negative ego's essence specifically? How does it function in detail? Now, if you will do a list of each, what is my better than, less than better than, and what are the messages? 4 things, that's all. That will give you the essence of your ego. That will give you the personality of your ego. That will give you the traits of your ego, and you will have identified your negative ego. Now, an exercise is to really take a look at what is your better than, and then make a list of at least 2 of them. For example, do you have a better than that you are more special? After all, you are unique because you, right? Maybe you're more spiritual than anybody else, right? Maybe you're saying, I've been chosen out of all the rest. I am better than. Usually most spiritual people say they are more special because of being more spiritual than others. You're so sure you are unique and special. If you think you are special, then put your money where your mouth is. Then do something with it. If you say you're an angel, then do something with it. Show some of that specialness. Do something with it. If you're so fantastic, or is this just not the right time? Do you have a better than that your problems are more real, more hurtful? Look what happened to me. It's more than other people, and I am constantly being attacked. It's difficult. They're out to get me, etc. Because I'm a gifted healer, and better than most, I'm constantly being attacked. Or do you have a better than that you have more prestige or money or family or status? I am wealthier than you, so I am better than. Straight up, better than. Comparing, judging, holding tight to your image of being better than others. Or do you have a better than that you are a better healer than most? I perform better, I heal more detailed, I train for this life, I'm an old soul, I see in the body better, I am just better. Or do you have a better than that you are more intelligent, more spiritual, more loving, more forgiving, more risk-taking, more smarter, more richer, from a better neighborhood, more faster, just more better? So if your better than is because you are more attractive or richer or smarter, etc., that is something you created in a metaphysical sense. It is not something that was given to you. Why does that make you better than? When someone less attractive created themselves that way for whatever reason, it just doesn't make sense. It may be true, but why does that make you better than? What is your better than? It can be anything. Comments below. Maybe you have more of a better than another. Come up with the 2 of the biggest that you have. Don't tell anybody what they are yet, for they probably know already. I bet you can figure out others better than just by talking to them. Probably could. Wouldn't that be awful? We agree. What would happen is your ego would come out so strongly that it would only serve to strengthen it rather than to weaken it. So stand up and be humiliated by, well, I think they're better than is this and this. The ego would either be flattered or it would be defended itself so powerfully that the end result would be your ego would be more entrenched as a result of such an exercise than released. We would suggest we wouldn't do that, but to look at what is your better than and to come up with 2. Be specific. So one way the ego works by denying its existence is through vagueness. I think I am better than because I am more harmonious with the cosmos, or channel angels better, or heal better. That's a bunch of crap. You have no idea what that means. You can't possibly define that. Give an example of that in any concrete terms, so therefore it's a nice little cop-out statement. Just like it's a cop-out of what you want to do with life. I want to be more harmonious with the cosmos again. Doesn't make any sense. Therefore, you ain't never going to do that. But in that sensing, to be vague, like that is a way to cop out, is a way in a sensing deny rather than accept surely. Be very specific about what your better than is. List 2 of them. I think I am whatever. We won't tell you because you know it. Figure those 2 out. So we would suggest here, look at 2 main better than from your list and figure out at least 5 ways for each. A total of 10 ways in which you put that out. I think I'm better than others because I am more spiritual than other people. That's pretty vague. What does that mean? What it really means is I think I am better than others because I am more evolved than other people. Or 2, I'm an old soul. Or 3, I have a better team. Or 4, I've been chosen because. Or 5, I am better than you, etc. Maybe a little vague, but a little more clear. I think I am better than people because I am more closer to God, Goddess. Or I am more Christ-like. Or I did more healing than you. Maybe for you, more specific. Let's say that one is one of them. You come more in tune with the spiritual, spherical inflow of the cosmos and more in the harmony to think I am hot shit. Give way. You play that out. Don't get locked up into righty, lengthy things. Just be very quick things. They are pretty quick when you look at it. You can know. Play that out by being ignorant or know-it-all, etc. Knowing I can know it all, or, and add to it, and make things better for other people because I am there. I am the real teacher in ways in which you demonstrate that, etc. Positive and negative, whatever. Demonstrate it. Also, another determinant factor is the craziness of the negative ego and your better than. How crazy is your better than, literally or obviously, if you are looking at yourself? For example, those of you who have a better than that you are more spiritual than other people. If you look at your reality, you realize I meditate every day this much time. Do yoga, Tai Chi, I've studied this and this many different courses and certificates, and I read this many different types of books, and I have really gone into full force, etc. Really is a major part of my life. That kind of better than is not going to make you crazy as the person who doesn't meditate at all, doesn't involve themselves at all spiritually, doesn't read or involve themselves at all, and still holds a better than spiritually. That kind of better than will be crazy making and crazy talk, right? Similarly, if you base your better than on the fact that you are more intelligent, we would suggest here you really are intelligent and you can back that up with knowledge, is still a better than that is going to destroy you, but not crazy making. Whereas indeed, if you don't have the background, you know your grades and evidence in schools, etc., and the evidence of your thought patterns suggests you are not more intelligent, you're barely intelligent, or not at all intelligent, that is going to be crazy making. All those of you who have a better than, that if you're a man, you are more superior than women. Okay? That the idea that men by nature are more evolved and women are least evolved and are to serve men, right? Similarly, in that sensing, bigotry is based very much upon ego positions and things of that sort. Similarly, to be transformed and released, because there is no logic to unravel to decide you're better than because you're a man as opposed to a woman. This is because you have been a woman as many times as you have been a man, and vice versa. So this is one of the craziest ones we have run across in the human potential movement. Is some seriously believe that men are more evolved than women. That man is smarter and better than women. That man is in a further state of advancement, if indeed this consciousness happens to come in as a woman this time. And if you really are so evolved, you would have come in as a man. In that sense, that is so silly, but there are very serious schools of thought with many followers. And why they have any women followers is unbelievable. But nonetheless, they do adhere to the idea that men by nature are more evolved and women are to serve men, which is confounding, if you ask me. So when we talk about why are we doing this communication and things like this, is so that you can learn about the physical plane. That's one of the most difficult things for us to learn. You mean really people believe that? Well, think about it. If men are more spiritually evolved, etc., they may be, but not always, stronger in specific ways and have certain traits that may excel more at certain things, but that they are spiritually more evolved? Come on. Or that women are, for that matter, are more spiritually evolved is as much better than, in that sensing, is a real head scratcher to contemplate in terms, right? It's confounded by that one. Then there are people, both men and women, who follow that. And particularly women who follow some guru, master, who propagates the idea that women are less evolved and women are to serve men. And their job is to be the one behind the scenes, serving him and making his life more. And what's crazy and very bizarre is some women are buying that. So we would suggest here those kinds of bigotry are what is, I'm not a bigot, I am just a chauvinist, right? That's bigotry. You're better than because you're a man, because you have a penis, for crying out loud, or less than because you have a vagina? Oh, whatever. Vice versa, as indeed there is nothing to grab a hold of there. No real logic to release it, so you have to transform it through realizing the silliness in this belief. Well, some of you hold yourself better than others because you are more attractive, more handsome, or more beautiful. That's not a state of action, okay? There is no action that proves that unless you are won the Miss Chamber of Commerce or Miss Cherry Blossom or best dressed, man or woman or whatever, or the most handsome in your class award, etc. You know what I mean? To back it up, very few facts can support the fact that you are better looking or more attractive or sexier or whatever. Therefore, they are more of a state of being. So we would suggest that they have become very difficult to release because there is nothing to grab a hold of, nothing to counter it, right? So as we suggested one time, your narcissism is indeed a tremendous position of ego, based upon the looks that you are more beautiful, right, than anybody else, male or female, that you are just more beautiful. And about the only cure for narcissism is age. You really can't do too much at 20 when you think you're the most beautiful. God's gift too, and you can't do too much to release that because you got mirrors that seem to be telling you otherwise. At about 45 or 50 years old, you notice that there are things growing, stretching, and aging that were not there when you were 18 years old. That all of a sudden the narcissism can be broken or transformed, but maybe not too. Maybe pile on the makeup and surgery to stay the most beautiful. At any rate, we would suggest those are more for transforming than releasing because you can't get a hold of it. So do you have a better than because of where you grew up? Similarly, a state of being is where you grew up. That is one of the saddest ones, really. They are rather sad, really, when you get to a certain level of the better than. When you get beyond the destruction that can occur, can get very sad. So because you were born in a particular neighborhood, that somehow you are better than? Either because that neighborhood was better, or because that neighborhood was worse, which is the same thing, you know? I grew up in the toughest section of town, and look at me now, how I am a seer, loving and kind. Or I grew up in the rich neighborhood and went to the right schools, etc. You are all a product of where your parents are geographically located. All of a sudden it is your source of better thans. You'd be damn lucky they were not on vacation or couch surfing or whatever. A very thin thread of better than often take what they can get. So we would suggest similarly, it's hard to release that one. That needs to be transformed. Similarly in that particular sense, because you come from a particular family, you know, doesn't mean you come from a particular family line. Not when you know there are such things as reincarnation and the fact that you create your own reality moment to moment. If you think you come from a long line heritage family at this moment, and you created this moment, and 2 minutes ago you may not come from that heritage. So to base it better than upon where you live, who your family is, who your grandfather is, or great-grandfather is, or how you pronounce your name, we would suggest is one of the slimmest, or perhaps the saddest, better than as well. So it's hard to release that, right? Because there is nothing to grab hold of, and suitable for transforming, most definitely. You see, the stretch between the reality you know and the reality you pretend is so big that it's crazy making. So we have suggestions so far are based upon action. The better than spiritually, the better than intelligently. As a man, you are more superior than women, or you are the most beautiful, handsome, or sexiest person, or of where you grew up, or who your family is, etc. is based upon action. Those can either be crazy making or not crazy making, depending on the stretch to which you have to jump, and any of your other better thans might be based upon action. I'm kinder than other people, and therefore I have acts of kindness that I can point to, as opposed to saying I'm kinder than other people and have no kindness to point to, but rather, indeed, find themselves rather nasty and hurtful. That can be crazy making, but is based upon action. Alright, the crazy making is to be transformed because you can't really release it very well. The particular non-crazy making we would suggest to go about releasing. In other words, we have said if it's based upon an action that has fractional data, then release it. If it's based upon an action with no fractional data, then transform it. These sorts of things we would suggest here when you overlay it with the fact that you create your own reality, then it doesn't make any sense, right? Unless, of course, you really aren't overlaying it with your create your own reality. Okay, once you have done that, see the ludicrousness, because all the better thans basically boil down to the fact that they are stupid and they are very sad and they are a very pathetic thing that you carry around. These better thans that have no real basis, if you can even pretend the basis is there, they really don't have one, okay? So to really look at that negative ego, not to just pass off as a negative ego, feels better than. Of course, it feels better than. What specific better thans does it hold, and how does it hold them? Well, my specific better than is I am smarter than everybody, right? Everybody else. All right, how does it hold? How do you hold that? How does it deal with that? Maybe by surrounding itself with dumb or slow people, or people who need you, or codependent people, etc. What do you do when you see in the newspaper, or see on the television, or hear of someone who is smarter? How do you discount or discredit that? How do you throw it away? You see, that's how you learn of what your ego says. What do you do when you are confronted with someone with a higher IQ than you? How do you dismiss them? How do you dismantle them? My ego says it struggles harder than others. What do you do when you run into someone who is struggling more than you? How do you strive more? Why does that make you better than others? My ego says I have been involved in metaphysics longer than anybody I know. And I am an old soul who knows more than any of you. How does that turn into a better than rather than less than? How is it? Why are you so slow? What is taking you so long? Your friends have been in metaphysics a year and a half, and they know as much as you do. You have been in it for 20 years. How does your ego turn that into superiority, as opposed to what are you waiting for, less than activity here? Maybe you feel smarter, but then find out you're not. Maybe you're less than as you give up and throw it all away. Too difficult, can't do it, too many know-it-alls, too much competition, too many healers. What's the point? Why, you arrogant so. And so, yes, you're right, that's true. I am an arrogant son of a peep, and went on about how terrible, disgusting I am. Low life. Boy, am I doing this good. Boy, I hope I am saying these words right. Boy, I am ever being elegant. Boy, I am busting my ego better than probably anybody ever. I am impressing you so much with the less thans that you feel better than about. You see, you do carry your better thans, your superiority above and over other people, your secret fantasies, secret truths, what you know about you that no one else does, but you also carry your less thans, just in case you need them. Also holds private lessons of less than you can fall back upon, okay? In case someone busts one of those better thans. So underneath those less thans are more better thans, and I am better than because of my less thans. My less thans are sophisticated, are romantic, are charming, are touching. My less thans are how are they better than, and I need to look at that. And when I will look at that, what is my better thans? Less than better thans. And what are the messages from my ego is all part of the first step of identifying your negative ego. If you would do those, what are my better thans, less thans, less than better thans, and what are the messages? 4 things, that's all, that will give you the essence of your ego. That will give you the personality of your ego. That will give you the traits of your ego. And you will have identified it, okay? You will have identified your negative ego, Divine Ones. Maybe you have tried to release your ego's better thans for 10 years, and it just won't work, won't go away. Must be true that I can't deal with my ego. So similar to racial ones, the quite obvious one would think, you are better than because you are, or you're not Jewish, or are or not black, are or not Chinese, or are not white, or by any race you know yourself as, etc. That's this lifetime. And then therefore, in that particular sense, to base anything upon that is rather so slim that there is no real basis rather than to transform it. Similarly, those that think they are better than others because of money, you may think people with money are smarter, or that they are, more evolved, or that people with money are evil and money is evil, etc. We would suggest that is one of the surest ways that you will never get any money, by that way, okay? If you want to guarantee yourself you are really afraid to have money and want to make sure you never do, then make sure you hold those beliefs or any limiting beliefs around money. That people with money are smarter or more evolved, right? More intelligent or more evolved, or etc., right? Or whatever, right? That is one sure way you will never get it, okay? But we would suggest those that have the better than. Again, it's so flimsy that there's no basis for working through and releasing, capacity. Therefore, transforming it through alchemy is necessary. So those better thans that are based upon a state of being, such as those several examples we have given. One, maybe the most beautiful, the richest, or your racial status, or where you grew up, or men are better than women, or that, you are the most spiritual, etc. Don't try to release them, transform them instead. So therefore, we would have those better thans that are based on their intensity, hurtful or destructive. The hurtful ones released, the destructive ones transform. Those are better than based upon a state of action. Those that are illogical, release. Those that are crazy making, transform them. Those better thans based upon a state of being for which you have no control, basically, is what it's coming down to. You didn't decide when you were 4 to be beautiful or rich or whatever, to grow up in this neighborhood or whatever, right? You didn't make those conscious choices as a state of being beyond your control. Transform them, but don't even try to release them, because you will fail at it. Get frustrated with it and then conclude that I can't deal with my ego. It's just too big. Or maybe it's true. I have tried to release my ego for the 10th year. It just won't go away. It must be true that I can't deal with ego. So we would suggest working with it and then transforming it, right? Or releasing it. The thing about ego also is it doesn't make any sense to hold on to it, that I am somehow better than, that I am somehow more special, more deserving, and more anything, right? So that somehow I have a right to behave in ways that I would not tolerate from others, and that I am better than, basically, right? So it just doesn't make any sense, right, to hold on to ego. There is no justification for it to be true. Even if you are the most brilliant person on the planet, that does not make you better than other people. It makes you more intelligent, perhaps, right? So even if you are the most loving person on the planet, which we would suggest you would have one hell of a devil time proving, right? But even if it were true, then why would that make you better than other people? And would not. The feeling of being better than would be an unloving act and would destroy the very basis of better than. I'm better than because I never judge people. Isn't itself a very big judgment? It's self-defeating. So make a list and ask yourself, why am I better than you? The better than, you can't get rid of, or the one they thought was really true. Most will say, because I am special. After all, I am unique because I am more spiritual than anybody else I've ever met, right? Usually most spiritual people go in the spiritual ego, say they are more special because of being more spiritual than others and being an old soul, etc. You're so sure you are unique and special. If you think you're special, then put your money where your mouth is. do something with it. If you say you're an angel, then do something with it. Show some of that specialness. Do something with it. If you're so fantastic, or is the time not right, right? So the next batch of people is my problems are real, more hurtful, and happen to be more than other people. We would suggest here that when you look at it, there really isn't any, ace ever. None that can last more than 30 seconds of being better than. You build an entire house of cards on it. Okay? You see, again, most of you are smart enough to know to not say those things out loud, so you don't go about saying, I am better than other people, or I am smarter than anybody. I know, or I am more intelligent, or I am better looking, or best looking man or woman, or a better healer. I am better than others. I can prove it. These are short-lived. They would all fall apart. It's very much a house of cards, right? We would suggest here, that's what gets so scary about it, is because you have to glue them together by lying more and more to yourself. That's the destruction of the ego. But none of you are dumb enough to say them out loud, but you think them. And sometimes you even try to fool yourself by cloaking it in other terms, but they are there. Furthermore, you don't want to kill the ego. You do not want to just mangle it, strangle it, stomp on it to death. It's too shrewd for that. It's too smart for that, and it's caught in survival. Therefore, you need to move it out of survival, and you need to dismantle it. You need to take back the responsibility that you gave it. You need to take back the job responsibilities and put it back where it belongs. How do you do that? Well, first of all, by owning your own ego. The first step of this release of the negative ego is to own it. And by that we mean is to identify it. What does your ego say specifically? What personality does your negative ego have specifically? What is your negative ego's essence specifically? How does it function in detail, right? Do you see what is your specific better than? And tell yourself the truth. And specifically, what are your less thans? Because you see, the negative ego does not just hold a series of better thans, it also holds a private lessons of less thans you can fall back upon in case someone busts one of those better thans. Thank you for listening to me today. Yeah. This is Chris Parr, Syrian, Lemurian Wisdoms and Teachings.